Hi, my name is Kristi Munoz, and I am so grateful that I represent Lawyers Title in California, and my office is capable of handling all of the state of California. So if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to help you. So a quitclaim deed is a deed that you might use between spouses or between partners that are just temporarily giving the property to somebody else that may at some point want the property back. So it's something that may not be a true conveyance. They're just doing it for a small bit of time. A grant deed is a true conveyance. You are literally selling the property or gifting the property. And once you've done that, you have no other obligation or commitment to the property because you've given that on a grant deed. Great question, and I'm going to do a little bit of a clarification because you've put two phrases together that happens a lot. It's a living trust and a will. So a living trust is where you would hold title and the actual trust holds the title, not the individuals. So you have a document that says that you're in trust, then you have to actually physically take a deed and put the trust name on the deed. So that's a great way to hold title. And then the will is when you have a person that didn't necessarily know that they needed a trust. They went in because they were told they needed a will, and all of a sudden something happens to them, they pass away, and now we're in probate. So will equals probate. Trust means that the heirs would be able to sell it without going to court. So if it's a will, we immediately look to what type of probate, because there's different types of probate. And not being an attorney, I always ask some questions to what are the, there's 2 or 3 questions I always ask. So the trust would allow you not to go to probate, but a probate means that you're going to have to go to court, find someone that the judge will deem reliable to take on the actual estate and then settle it. So it could be anywhere between 9 months, 12 months, 2 years, depending on how many people are involved, depending on the county that it's in, and if anybody's arguing about who gets the money. That, I have to say, is such a tedious task for us because we don't read the wills, we only read the trusts. And the challenge that people have is they don't know there's a difference. So they go in, and because the will may be less expensive to actually obtain from an attorney or a paralegal, they choose to do a will. But the trust is what's going to avoid going to probate. So we will read the trust, and when we read it, we have to read it as a third person. So if someone says, I want these 3 heirs to get a portion of my proceeds, we have to make sure that those 3 heirs get a portion of the proceeds. We don't create the rules of the trust. We just have to apply them. So however it was created by the trustees, we read it, we apply it, and we know that that was their intention, and we have to stick to it. We can't change it. That's, for me, I would love to spend a ton of time on probate because people are afraid of it. They don't know what we need. And so I always say, if you are in a probate, contact your title company immediately. Even if you're just in the listing period of that transaction, contact the title company and get a checklist from them of what actual documents will be needed, because some of them come out really early in the probate court. Like the certified letters, you can get those early, but you have to wait a little bit longer to get the notice of proposed action. So we give you a list of the items that we will need, and it doesn't change unless the probate rules change. So we go by what is required. And if we give you a list and you just collect all of them, it's so much easier than trying to guess what is needed. And if you work really closely with the probate attorney, the transaction shouldn't be any different. It should just be a longer process. Yes, picking a title person, I've always said, you really need to interview everyone on your team. It should be an interview process. You pick the person based on how much information or knowledge they bring to the team. When my office closes at 5, I always say to my agents, I work when you work. So if you have a question at 7 o'clock at night and you need to ask someone, I want to be able to answer it for you. And that is probably part of what I always say you have title salespeople and then you have title professionals, people that have been in the business or the industry long enough that when you have a question at 7 o'clock at night, they don't have to wait until 8 o'clock the next morning to get an answer for you. They basically know the answer and then they can give it to you and let you go back to work with your clients. And it makes you look like your team is always working.